it is belongingness that causes grief. If we felt that we lived in this world and nothing belonged to us, and we didn't belong to anything, then there'd be no grief. If you don't like something, you don't need something, then if it goes, who cares? You don't really bother. So why is it that we feel grief? And it's not just grief from losing a loved one. It is grief of losing a lifestyle, grief of losing a loved one, grief of losing a job, grief of losing a friendship. The feeling of grief is exactly the same. It's one of loss. Something that you have to let go. And you don't want to. You want to hold on to that till your dying day. That's the problem. We understand how we feel, right? So many times we bargain with God, say, please, I'll do anything that you want. Let my mom live for 1 more year. Just till my daughter's married. And then when that is over, you'll say, just a few more years till my other daughter is married. Let her be healthy. We bargain a lot with God. And that is one of the stages of grief. We know it's coming. You know it's going to come any day. And you start bargaining. This bargaining continues even after you have lost. That I'll do this, and then maybe I'll get my job back. I'll change this in my life, and then maybe that friend will come back to me. That friendship won't be lost. I'll, become completely vegetarian, then maybe I'll get that man back who doesn't like me to eat meat. We bargain and make these lifestyle changes, and we bargain with the divine. But the immediate feeling when you lose something is the divine protecting you. It's denial. That's the very first thing you do. It can't be happening to me. Your emotions will all shut down. And it's just a feeling of becoming numb, a feeling of disbelief, of not accepting that situation at all. It can't be. And that is just the divine protecting you from too much of an overload. Because the emotions can be overwhelming, especially when someone is taken away before their time. What you believe is before their time. However, you don't know how much time they were allotted on this earth. We are here for an allotted time. None of us know. Can you imagine how terrible it would be if we knew? You got 5 days left, 4 days left, 5 hours left. That would be horrible. It's not knowing that allows us to live our life fully and happily, and to be content every moment, and to take the Lord's name at every minute of the day, to have that divine within you all the time, so that when you go, you're in the arms of the divine. That's the whole point of feeling this consciousness, the presence all the time. Denial is a very essential ingredient when you're grieving. Because the shock can cause a lot of changes. It can make you sick. And you need to be healthy to take care of things. So most often if you find it's the person, you've lost a close family member, you become catatonic. You start doing things to fill it all up. so that you don't think, so that nothing else happens. And that's the time that they allot for people to come and visit you. Whether it's in the Hindu tradition or it's in the Jewish tradition, I don't know about Christians, but we have the first 13 days when morning to night you'll get people coming. And you'll repeat the same story again and again and again and again. And you don't have time to think about how you're feeling. You don't have time to process anything. And that's why it is done. It is the divine giving you that crutch at that very crucial minute, because if you're by yourself, it would be overwhelming and you would go under. And then after you've got over that period of time, what happens is that you miss that person, you miss that job, you miss that relationship, and you get extremely annoyed and angry. The next emotion that comes to the surface, which is very necessary, which needs to be embraced 100%. If you resist that emotion, your grief will become even deeper as an impression. So to express and accept your anger is extremely important. Why me? Why did this happen to me? Why did they have to be in that car? Why did I have to make that mistake and get fired? Why didn't I say this at the interview? Why didn't I be more compassionate in that relationship? These are the things you'll be saying repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly to yourself. And the period of grief, anger can last 3 to 6 months. A long time. And at that point, no matter what anyone says, you don't care. They don't know what you're going through. They don't even understand what it's like to have diabetes all your life. What it means to give up all the food that you've always wanted to eat. How can they understand? Oh, very easily they tell you make lifestyle changes. Right? Very easily they tell you to give up sweets. It's not worth it. You can eat it, but I can't. Right? So I'm only thinking of me. I'm not thinking long term. How am I going to be at the end of it? I don't care. The point is, I can't eat what I want. It's not fair. My child was supposed to graduate and go to school, college, and give me grandchildren. It can't be that they were taken away. My mother was supposed to live till the ripe old age of 80. She can't have gotten breast cancer at 50. It's the anger, and you don't care who is suffering more, who has one leg, who is blind. I mean, at that point of time, everyone tells you, oh, you're better off, you know, that person has that. You're like, quiet, I don't want to hear this. My problem is much more important. And it's a stage, it's a period. You will process, you will keep on talking about it, you will keep on festering in this anger against the world, against the divine, against everybody. Everything is against you. Nobody wants you to have a good time. And according to Kubler, I think it's Dr. Kubler-Ross who said, she says the bargaining comes later. But I think bargaining comes right before the loss. In my opinion, whenever I felt the loss, the bargaining has been before. Like I knew, for example, that I ate too much rice and too many sweets in my vacation. I said, I'm going to stop for 3 weeks. If I stop for 3 weeks, my A1C is going to be good. It's got to be good. I'm not going to eat anything for the next 3 weeks. But it takes the reading for 3 months, right? So the bargaining always comes before. Perhaps in certain people it comes a little bit later. Loss is only yours. What is gone, whatever it is, a person, a job, a relationship that doesn't care. It's sobering to realize that the person who dies is gone, is in a beautiful place. You are only feeling your selfish need to have them, because you're completely consumed with the form, with the world, with the outside world, and you have not moved from form to formless. If any of you have read The Present, there is when I talk about death, there is a chapter where I interviewed this person who is a very, very long-term art of living devotee. I mean, you'd imagine that 20, 30 years, she would have absorbed the knowledge completely. Yet, her husband was killed on a motorbike accident at a time when she was with Guruji at the Silver Jubilee celebrations. And she kept saying he could have stopped it, yet he didn't. And she stopped practicing all her practices. She completely stopped. She was so angry with Guruji particularly for not saving her husband's life. That anger made her give up all her practices. Now the practices are there for you to use this knowledge when you need it. But she had not reached the stage of acceptance. She was still bristling and boiling with anger. And I found that extremely interesting, because you would imagine that someone who is steeped in the knowledge, talking about it all the time, would be able to practice it. But that didn't happen. When the anger was there, the anger was there. And then when her daughter got engaged and was getting married and she was preparing for the wedding, a feeling that life goes on. Everything changes. All the old knowledge comes back. It is what is. We are not in control of our destiny. Everything happens for a reason. All these things that you've heard started floating back into her life. And then she started doing her practices again. But it takes, according to our Hindu Shastras, 1 full year to stop grieving about something you really care about. And how much our masters have told us, develop detachment. Develop detachment. Yet, it's extreme. The minute your child calls you and says, oh, my back, I've pulled a muscle in my back, you're holding your back for the rest of the day. Literally. Your child hasn't got a job, you're feeling the anxiety. Your husband has got something, you're feeling it. Your mother's got something, you're feeling it. Your friend is... we are so attached to everything. And we have not yet developed that ability to feel compassion, yet stand apart. Because when we do that, then we are unfeeling, emotionless. But it isn't that. You can feel compassion for your children. You can feel all that. But very early in life, you must realize your journey is by yourself. You have to tell yourself this several times a day. Your journey is alone, and you just have the company of a few people for part of your life. Your parents, your friends, your children. They have their own journey. There is a time allotted to them to come into this earth and to go. And the wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. The wise understand that this is it. This is the way of the world. Yet, we are bound by what we call samskaras, impressions, conditioning for many, many years. So know in your heart that one day this person is going to go, that person is going to go, you are going to go, everybody is going to go. We're here, we're gone. We're here, we're gone. And I can tell you that no matter how much you try, you will grieve. Like I grieve for one day for my blood test. And then there's an acceptance. At some point you say, it's not that you accept in the sense of I welcome it. You know, it's not that kind of acceptance. It's that moment of surrender when you can't do anything about it. Basically, that acceptance comes at that point when you realize that it's pointless. There's nothing more to be done, to be talked, to be cried, to be yelled about. You can't say one more thing about it. You've said everything. You've talked to all your family, you've fought with all your friends, you've done everything. And then you just give it all to the divine. And if you think that you want to accept and surrender, then that moment is really further away than you think. Because that acceptance and surrender really comes when you don't have a choice. You will reach that point in your life when you'll say, it is your drama, it is your leela. Do with me whatever you will. I have no choice. So I don't want to have diabetes all my life, but I will work with it. That's the point of acceptance. So you don't have a choice. This is it. This is it. Now in that moment of anger, if someone tells me that, then I only start crying. How dare you tell me? You just don't want me to have a good time. You want to take everything away from me. That's the only thought that will come. That period of anger, you have to go through. You have to go through. Whether it's a job loss or it's any loss. It is your loss. You are feeling it. And you have to respect that. Understanding that you're going to have grief should make you develop the ability, or at least think about what it means to be dispassionate. Because that is one of the finest qualities you can develop. If you're dispassionate and you're able to distance yourself from the things around you, you're doing yourself the biggest favor. We all love our children. But imagine, and I've given you this analogy before, that you plant a seed and you water it, and then you see the shoots coming, and then it grows into a little bush, and as soon as it grows into a little bush, you take a rope and you tie yourself to it. And then the flowers are coming somewhere, the fruits are coming somewhere, but you're tied. You can't see it. However, being dispassionate means taking a step away and watching it grow. We need to do this, to do this kind of an exercise with all the things we know are very, very dear to us. Because it's a life lesson that we came empty-handed, we're going empty-handed. You know that. None of these things are going to remain. All your companions, all the people that walk with you on this journey will go one day. And when they go, celebrate their life. Move from the physical to spirit. They never leave you there. Because when we join up in a group like this and we meditate, it's the spirit in me that recognizes the spirit in you, that doesn't make a difference which background you're from, what your physical form is nothing. That closeness and that coming together is very much there. But we are so obsessed with physical form. That physical form is everything. It's the red hair and the way your arms are and your legs and the green eyes and that makes the person. No. There are times that I've asked my dad to find me some paper and it's come up in 30 seconds. It doesn't, you don't commune with, not all of us are psychic and we can know our, can see people or talk to people. But people that have passed and are dear to you communicate when you need it in a very different way. It'll come as an idea. It'll come as a story. And I feel it a lot when I write, because I don't write, I don't plan my writing. So when I write, I've just decided what the chapter is going to, who it's going to be about. And I feel that someone is telling me that story. But I don't hear the words, or I don't hear anybody telling me anything. But the idea comes. And then it becomes some of the things that I wrote in my book, my mother never even told me about. And she said, how did you know? So we do communicate. So don't feel that you've really lost anything. No. That's a phase in your life and you need to move on. You need to finish what you came here to do. Don't feel that you've lost anything, left anything, missed out on anything. No. Your life today is perfect, just the way it is, with everything you have or don't have. It is fine the way it is. And from that feeling of abundance and from that feeling of fullness and happiness, you move forward with faith, courage,